Okay, Ledesma upper graders, welcome to Ledesma Newsroom on KLED Radio. We are here with a very special guest today, none other than your principal, Mrs. Unk. And she is here today to talk to you about a very serious subject. We're going to talk today a little bit about the three main rules at Ledesma. Now, we've all had these during the regular school year: be safe, be responsible, and be respectful. But Mrs. Unk, can you talk to us about how this is definitely going to look different this year during distance learning? Take it away.
Sure. So, thank you, Mr. Perola. I'd love to be a guest on any radio station or broadcast available. So, I'm going to soak up this opportunity with our upper grade kids, students. I think that what's important to note is that every year, if you've been at Ledesma, you know I come and I do grade level talks about ART PBIS expectations. So with distance learning, it does look different. We've created something and we just kind of want to go over it so that you understand that whether we're at distance learning or on campus, we still expect students to be safe, respectful, and responsible.
Excellent.
What does that look like? We're going to review.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into that right here.
Definitely.
With be safe. All right. So one of the things now, normally during a regular school year, being safe is things like keeping your hands to yourself and, not running in the wrong spots in the hallways or in the classroom. And obviously those things are still important, but it's different this year online because some of those things don't apply in the same way that they would normally. So Mrs. Unk, right here, we have some information. It talks about not sharing private information online, staying away from strangers online, and about how random websites can be dangerous or not safe. Can you talk to upper grade students about what that means during distance learning and how that's being safe?
Yeah. So again, boys and girls, as upper grade students, you understand how when you search for different things on your internet browsers, that it can take you to places that are not safe. Giving your passwords out and searching for things, when you do that, it does pop up with our IT. And in fact, Mr. Prola, minutes before we got on this, I was talking to a family regarding some of the searches that their child had done today that popped up. And so I want you to know that we do, in fact, monitor this. And it is not because we want to keep an eye on every little thing you're doing, but it's for your own safety. And so I've had 2 incidents already where someone downloaded something that was not safe. The parents saw it and notified, and we were able to get it blocked. And then today, a student doing some searches for things that probably were not the best use of their.
We all know that there's a lot of ways to get in trouble on the internet, and we need to make sure that during school hours on our school equipment and with our school account that we're being very safe with that information as well.
Even if it's after hours, if you are on your Chromebook and you're on your student account, everything is picked up even after hours. So I really need to advise you as upper grade students to be safe. Don't give your passwords out to anybody except your parents. And, only be looking for things that your teachers have told you or directed you to.
Well, and even if you're not on your school accounts, boys and girls, I think it's probably a good idea in general to be very careful of what's available out there online, because there is stuff out there that just is not safe for our kids. So just be aware and use your best judgment. Always let your parents know what you're doing. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to the next part of being safe online or during distance learning. Moving your laptop around safely and keeping your laptop in a safe place. Can you talk to us about that, Mrs. Unk?
Yeah. So I really appreciate this one because as we've, deployed and given every kid a Chromebook, remember these are at home. And so to be safe at home, that looks like when you're walking around, you're holding your Chromebook with both hands. You have it on a table, not the back of your couch. Think about what's around it. You don't want it on a wobbly nightstand or something that, has water that's going to spill on it. So just think it through. You're old enough, how to care for this. And it is an expectation that you will care for these. Don't, I get it. We all get frustrated. Don't be pounding on your keys. Just take a breath, close it gently. Please do not put stickers and draw all over these Chromebooks because you will be responsible for that when you come back. So again, think about, it's a good piece of equipment that's expensive. It's something that you are being responsible with, and that looks like caring for it.
Does that mean I need to pull all my Raider stickers off my school laptop, Mrs. Ung?
Yeah, you should have done that anyways.
Okay, all right. I'll try to make sure that in the future I take care of it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, another way to be safe online and be aware is that sometimes people, when they're chatting, sometimes say things that they don't make other people feel safe. And I guess this kind of overlaps into be respectful as well, but being aware that your words have power, right? And using appropriate language in chatting and meets. I think that's a good thing to keep in mind when it comes to keeping other people safe. What do you think, Mrs. Ung?
I totally agree. I mean, think about when you're texting each other, and sometimes we think that we're joking with somebody. In upper grade, it oftentimes is an innocent thing. Sometimes it's not, but a lot of times it is. So be very aware of what you were saying to somebody and using that chat during your Google Meets and even comments towards somebody's Flipgrid or whatever assignment it is. Think about it and just use words that are encouraging and nice. Saying something where you think it's funny about somebody's, whatever, a picture they have hanging on their wall, albeit you may think it's funny, we don't want to hurt their feelings or make them not feel safe. So really avoid any of that during distance learning.
Okay, so we're going to move right along to be respectful. And being respectful, a student came up with this one. It's the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. And I think if you could just follow that rule, I think we'll do pretty well. But let's get down to some more specifics. Down here under be respectful, couple things that I see that stand out to me as a teacher is showing up on time to online classes and staying on the meet until it is time to go. Can you talk to upper grade students about the importance of that, please?
Yeah, it is really important that when you know your schedule for your class, that you are on your Google Meets the entire time. You are prepared, you are ready. If it starts at 8 o'clock or it starts at 9:15 or 11:15, it doesn't matter, that you are paying attention to that clock so that you know when to get on. Because when you're logging on late, it's very distracting to not only your teacher, but to your peers. It also means that you've lost some instruction. So as upper grade students, I mean, we're even holding our primary kids accountable, right, to getting on and staying on their whole Google Meet. I think it's important to note with our upper grade kids that you are being held accountable for this. So if you only join one Google Meet, or you leave the Google Meet early, then you are going to be marked down this time around. And so get on, stay on, and be an active participant in your distance learning. Because during the school year, if you were here in class, you wouldn't just get up and walk out of Mr. Prola's class when you felt like leaving. Yeah. So you need to see it as that is your class time. You stay in there, you have your camera on, and you participate.
Okay, so now, a general one that applies almost every year would be staying on task. Can you refer to how that looks during distance learning? Because I would say that's a rule for every year that we're going to be talking about, but staying on task is especially applicable during distance learning.
And it's probably a little harder to do with distance learning. I get it. Even here for me, there's lots of stuff that I'm looking outside. Miss Liz might knock at my door. When you're at home, you've got maybe the mailman showing up or your baby brother or sister who needs something. Mom and dad walking around, grandmas, aunts, whoever it is. Dogs barking. So it's easy to get off task. The best thing I can say is find a place where you won't be distracted. Do not have your cell phones out, texting, taking videos, and doing other stuff. If you're working on an assignment or you're in class, you are expected to be there just like you are in your classroom. So really important that we have your camera on and you are focused and you are paying attention.
Okay. Taking turns speaking, remembering to mute your microphones, listening attentively, keeping interruptions at a minimum. Those all seem like things that upper graders pretty much know how to do. You just got to keep it in mind when
Yep.
we're on distance learning right now. Um, you know, Polite language, once again, that kind of is the same idea as we talked about under being safe. Let's move on to be responsible now. Being responsible can be tough when you're on the internet. Here we go. We talked about showing up on time to Google Meets last time, following the schedule, but here's a big one right here: taking your lessons seriously. Can you talk to us about taking lessons seriously? Um, on our Google Meets and during distance learning?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it goes back to you are upper grade students. And so at this point, you need to be responsible for what teaching is occurring, right? Your teachers are going to give you everything you need, both the asynchronous and synchronous during your live Google Meets when they're giving instruction. And part of this is being responsible. And as upper grade students, we will hold you responsible more than we hold, for example, a kinder kid with getting your work done. So on Wednesdays, that could be especially difficult for upper grade kids. You see it as I check in and I have all day to do all these assignments. You are not expected to wait till 8 o'clock at night to decide that suddenly you want to do your work. You open it up at 8 a.m., school's not over till 12:30, and it is only over if you have your assignments all completed and turned in. If you are not, then you need to work past 12:30. So really important to stay on top of your assignments, get them done, get them turned in, ask for help if you need help. Everyone's here to support you. But again, as upper grade students, you all understand how to turn your lessons in and get this work completed. And you're going to have to manage that time.
Okay. And speaking of all of that, you kind of just mentioned it, but one of the things on here is using your asynchronous time wisely, which we understand can
Yeah.
be difficult, but you got to remember you want less homework. So use your asynchronous time wisely during the regular school day.
Yeah.
Also, reading directions carefully. Why is that more important? Now, that's always important, but why is that more important now than it normally would be?
Well, I mean, my personal opinion is it's always important. And as your principal, I have to say it is really hard when I plump out information and someone starts asking me questions and they haven't read what I've given them. So that's going to be the same as your teachers. If your teachers are giving you lessons or they have asynchronous lessons, you have to read those directions before you do the assignment. It doesn't take long, and I'm telling you, I promise you, it solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
If you just read those directions, most of your questions will be answered. And those that aren't, that's when you reach out and ask your teachers. I mean, on average, you're doing 4 Google Meets a day on average, and you've got lots of time to get clarification and ask your teachers if you don't understand something.
Yeah. Now, one thing that we've noticed as upper grade teachers, when you're doing your own work and using your Google tools, there's a lot of ways to share information. And sometimes you want to work with others, but other times it's important to be able to do your own work. Can you talk to us about the importance of being able to do your own work when it's appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's no different than being at school. If you had a math assignment assigned and you didn't do it, you came to school and you asked, little Miss Hunk next to you, say, "Hey, Miss Hunk, you do your homework. Can I just copy it?" Like, it's just not good. You will not benefit by copying somebody else's work. And you, as the person sharing that so that someone can copy it, you're just as much at fault as the one copying it. So if someone wants to copy your work, say no. And, again, copying the work, you're just harming yourself with your learning by doing that. So do your own work. There are times in which you will share stuff, but sharing it for the purpose of copying and just getting it done is never a good option, whether you're in school or doing distance learning.
Yeah, here's another one. This one says being ready to work for the day, getting dressed, eating breakfast, combing your hair, get a good night's sleep. Can you talk
Darn
to
it.
us about that?
Man, Mr. Pro, I thought I got to just stay at home in my PJs, lounging on my couch, drinking my coffee. No, boys and girls, listen, your day starts at 8 a.m. We do expect that you are up, you are dressed, your teeth are brushed, you are ready to learn, you're going. That you are not getting up and just walking out to go, have the rest of your breakfast. You know, I want to be very clear that being responsible as an upper grade student means that you are prepared just like you would be when you walk in the classroom.
Does that mean
So,
that as a teacher, I shouldn't be teaching from in bed still? Like
yeah,
I
no,
have to get up for the day?
yeah. And with that being said, I do think it's important to know. I think, Mr. Pearl, you bring up a great point because what happens is right now with distance learning, some of you are faced with a lot of people in your house and it's hard to find a quiet place, right? And so some of you may only have your bedroom or a spot in your room to do it. If that's the case, that's fine. We're not saying you can't. What we're saying is we don't want you laying in your bed, blankets over you, lounging, feet up, Chromebooks on your knees. No, you are sitting up. If you're in your room, you're sitting up. Even if you've got to sit on your bed, that's fine. But laying in bed in your PJs or with just your, yeah, it's never a good idea.
Yeah.
Boys and girls, it's not a good idea. Just be responsible. Get up, put yourself in a place that shows your teacher you're ready to be an active learner.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's a whole lot about being safe, responsible, and respectful when on distance learning. It must have been one brilliant class that came up with this brainstorm and figured all this information out and was able to put it all in one spot. But any final last words that you want to give to the school, Mrs. Unk, or to the upper grade students in particular about being safe, respectful, and responsible?
No, I think, one, I did want to acknowledge that, boys and girls, this Jamboard was not created by Mr. Prola and me. This Jamboard and all these ideas were created by your peers in upper grade. And especially shout out to Mr. Prola's class, because these are all the things we would have said to you if I was in your class having this conversation. The bottom line is whether you're doing distance learning or you're in your classroom, we have three expectations here. It's
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to be safe, respectful, and responsible. As upper grade kids, what those things are. If you're ever in doubt, just stop and say, hey, am I being safe right now with my Chromebook? Am I being responsible in my Google Meet right now? Am I being respectful in my chat right now? Or respectful by unmuting and constantly talking over? Am I being respectful and responsible with what's going on in my background? I mean, am I doing this, moving my Chromebook and all of that? Probably not. Am I being respectful and responsible by turning my camera off? No, because you wouldn't just put a hood over your face and lay your head down during class. So
Right.
I really want to acknowledge that upper grade kids did a great job on this Jamboard. And I think that as upper grade students, you know how to be safe, respectful, and responsible.
I think in general, it's probably just a good idea that if you wouldn't do it if you were physically at school, then you probably shouldn't do it during distance learning. All right, are we ready to sign off for the day?
I think so. I'm not sure what my next radio broadcast, but maybe some kids could give us some ideas on our next topic,
I
Prola.
don't know. I have a feeling this one could go viral. All right, Mrs. Zunk, welcome. Thank you for signing on to KLED Newsroom Radio, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.
Goodbye.